When Grandpa moved into his new house, he wanted peace, quiet, and a little space for his old truck and woodworking tools. But peace doesn't last long when there's an HOA Karen living across the street. She ran the neighborhood like a general, measuring lawns, issuing fake fines, and believing every driveway belonged to her. It all started one weekend when Grandpa came home to find not one, but two massive pickup trucks parked inside his own garage. The doors were open, lights on, and a reserved for HOA business sign hung on his wall. No note, no apology, just arrogance. Grandpa didn't get mad. He just smiled that quiet, dangerous smile he always got when someone messed with his space. He closed the garage doors, locked them from the inside, and called the sheriff. What happened next would become the most talked-about story in the entire neighborhood, and the last time Karen ever messed with Grandpa. Grandpa bought the house for peace and space. After 40 years working construction, he wanted to retire somewhere quiet, a tidy neighborhood near the lake where he could tinker in his garage and watch the sunset with a glass of iced tea. The only thing he didn't realize was that the place came with a homeowners association. And worse, an HOA president named Karen Dinsmore. Karen was the kind of woman who acted like she'd been elected mayor of Earth. She carried a clipboard like a weapon, wrote violation notices for having your trash cans out 15 minutes too long, and sent emails about grass height like it was a matter of national security. Grandpa's first run-in came on moving day. He had just parked his old red Ford pickup halfway on the curb while unloading boxes when Karen strutted over in a neon vest and oversized sunglasses. "You can't park here," she barked. "HOA rules prohibit street parking for non-compliant vehicles." Grandpa raised an eyebrow. "Non-compliant?" She gave the truck a once-over. "Rust, dents, and—" She squinted. "No HOA parking sticker. This will be a warning," he laughed. "Lady, I just moved in an hour ago." Karen scribbled something on her clipboard and walked away without another word. That was the first time Grandpa muttered, "This woman's going to be a problem." Over the next few weeks, Karen proved him right. She left reminder notes taped to his mailbox about unauthorized bird feeders, improper garage storage visibility, and even wind chimes exceeding sound limits. Grandpa ignored most of it, though he started calling her Sergeant HOA behind her back. Then one Friday afternoon, Grandpa came home from the hardware store and immediately noticed something wrong. The garage door was open, and he never left it that way. He pulled into the driveway and stopped dead. Inside were two huge silver pickup trucks, spotless, oversized, and parked side by side in his garage like they owned the place. The smell of cheap perfume and car freshener filled the air. There was also a folding sign leaning against the wall that read, "Reserved for HOA operations. Temporary use." Grandpa blinked. He thought maybe he was seeing things. He checked the address. Yep, his house. Then he saw Karen across the street, chatting on her phone, sipping iced coffee, and pretending not to notice him. That was when Grandpa's lips curled into a slow grin, the kind that meant he wasn't angry yet, but he would be doing something about it. He pulled his truck up just enough to block the driveway, turned off the engine, and walked inside. Karen looked up too late. Grandpa reached for the garage remote, pressed the button, and watched the doors close. Then calmly, he turned the lock. The garage doors rumbled shut with a deep, satisfying clang. The light from outside vanished, and only the smell of motor oil and cedar filled the air. Grandpa clicked the deadbolt on the side door, gave it a tug, and nodded to himself. Both trucks, shiny, oversized, and out of place, sat quietly under the humming fluorescent lights. "Temporary use, huh?" Grandpa muttered. "We'll see about that." He walked around each truck slowly, like an inspector at a car auction. Both had the same logo on the back, Dinsmore Realty, HOA approved partner. Karen's name was printed right beneath. He noticed the keys were still in the ignitions. That was the moment he knew exactly what was going on. Karen was using his garage as her personal storage and staging area for her HOA operations. Grandpa chuckled under his breath. "Well, if she's going to use my space for free, she can pay rent." In stress. He went into the house, poured himself a cup of coffee, and called the sheriff's office. County Sheriff's Department. What's your emergency? No emergency, Grandpa said in his calm, gravelly voice. Just a case of unlawful vehicle storage and trespassing. 2 of them. Belong to a woman from the HOA. She's parked them in my garage without permission. The dispatcher paused. Sir, in your garage? That's right. My address, my property, my locks. Thought I'd let you know before I start charging for valet service. The dispatcher tried not to laugh. We'll send a deputy to check it out. While he waited, Grandpa went out to the porch and watched the sunset, sipping his coffee like it was just another quiet evening. Across the street, Karen started to notice something was off. She kept glancing at her phone, then at his house. After a few minutes, she stormed over, heels clacking like angry castanets. She banged on his front door. Mr. Thompson, open up right now! You've made a big mistake. Grandpa opened it just enough to lean on the frame. Evening, Karen. Lovely weather. Don't play dumb. She snapped. Those trucks are official HOA property. You can't lock them up. They're on my property, he corrected. That means they're my problem now. I called the sheriff, so we'll let them sort it out. Karen's face turned red. You did what? Grandpa smiled. You heard me. She tried the garage keypad, but he'd already unplugged it. The doors didn't budge. You can't do this, she shouted, pounding the metal. You'll regret it. Grandpa just walked back inside. We'll see. An hour later, blue lights flickered down the street. A sheriff's car rolled to a stop in front of the house. Karen rushed out, waving her arms, talking faster than a rooster in a hailstorm. The deputy listened patiently, then turned toward Grandpa's porch. Sir, he said, you want to tell me what's going on here? Grandpa grinned. Gladly. The deputy stepped out of his cruiser, tall, calm, the kind of officer who'd seen everything twice already. His name tag read Deputy Morales. He took one look at Karen, who was practically foaming at the mouth, and another at Grandpa, who stood on his porch sipping coffee like he was watching a sunrise. All right, Morales said. Let's start from the top. Whose property are we talking about here? Grandpa pointed to his garage. That one's mine. Been mine since the day I paid for it. Karen crossed her arms, shaking with indignation. Those trucks belong to the HOA, and I'm the acting president. We're authorized to use neighborhood facilities for official business. Morales raised an eyebrow. Facilities? Meaning? Karen gestured wildly. Garages, driveways, storage areas. It's all in the HOA charter. Grandpa chuckled. Ma'am, unless your charter comes with a deed in my name, I think you're mistaken. Morales smirked, already guessing how this would end. All right, Mr. Thompson. Mind unlocking the garage so I can take a look? Sure thing, officer. Grandpa led him around the side, unlocked the door, and flicked on the light. Inside, the 2 polished trucks gleamed like trophies that didn't belong. Morales whistled low. Those yours, ma'am? Karen lifted her chin. They're the HOAs. I manage community outreach, and we were planning a charity event. I needed secure storage. In someone else's private garage? Morales asked. Karen hesitated. It was temporary. Morales turned to Grandpa. Did you give her permission? Not unless you count the time she fined me for bird feeders, Grandpa said. The deputy's lip twitched as he wrote notes on his pad. All right, ma'am, since you entered this property without consent, that's trespassing and unauthorized use of private space. Mr. Thompson here's within his rights to have the vehicles towed at your expense. Karen's jaw dropped. You can't be serious. I'm the HOA president. That title doesn't come with a key to someone's garage, Morales said dryly. Grandpa leaned on the doorframe. Sounds like that's that then. Karen was fuming. If you tow those trucks, I'll sue. The HOA board will hear about this. Good, Morales said, closing his notepad. They can hear about your misuse of HOA resources, too. I'll make sure there's a report. Grandpa nearly had to hide his grin behind his mug. As the deputy walked back to his car to call for a tow truck, Karen rounded on Grandpa. You've made a powerful enemy, old man. Grandpa just tilted his head. Sweetheart, I've dealt with concrete mixers, hurricanes, and 3 decades of city inspectors. You don't even make the list. The flashing tow truck lights soon filled the street. Neighbors peeked out their windows as the trucks were hooked up and hauled away, the sound of chains and metal echoing like justice in stereo. Karen stood frozen on the sidewalk, clutching her clipboard like a lifeline. Grandpa tipped his cap. "You have a good evening now." By sunrise, everyone in the neighborhood knew what had happened. Word spread fast, faster than Karen's morning gossip emails ever could. The sight of 2 gleaming HOA-branded trucks being towed from Grandpa's garage had become instant legend. Grandpa didn't brag. He didn't post on the community board. He just watered his lawn, waved at the mailman, and fixed the squeaky gate out front like nothing had happened. But every time someone passed, they slowed down, smiled, and whispered. By noon, Karen had already launched damage control mode. She sent a 6-paragraph email to all.